Welcome to Talk of the Town, proudly brought to you by Uniquely Nelson. I'm your host, Chris Butler, and with me, Simon Duffy, General Manager of Uniquely Nelson.
Morning, Tony.
Morning, Simon. How are you?
All right, sir. All right.
Yes,
All right.
Tony Lewis. We should introduce him formally. Tony Lewis of Waahi Taakaro Golf Club. Great to see you here, mate.
Fantastic to have you two out here.
We couldn't just do a normal one, could we, Simon? You know, like with a table inside somewhere. We had to see
This is my normal life. What do you mean?
it's operation. Been a big operation, but you'll note behind us a beautiful bridge. It looks magnificent. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Tony?
So when the storms come through about two and a half, 3 years ago, the bridge, which is the far right by the golf shop, they got taken away and went downstream, and the council have built a fantastic bridge, and it's used by, it's an interesting thing, why the golfers go back and forwards on it when they're playing golf. The main users are the cyclists, the runners and the walkers, and it's actually smashed early in the morning and late at night.
Beautiful. Mighty purchase.
And actually, they had a bit of bad luck, didn't they? Because it got washed out the first time, and then they were doing plans to get it all fixed, and even had a temporary bridge, and then it happened again.
Yeah, it happened again. Yeah,
Look,
that's one of the things. We had a management committee meeting last night, and it's one of the things that's always at the risk in the risk register. You know, another flood.
Yeah,
what's the processes? And I think, you know, touch wood, that we've managed to ensure that we've got most things free of, or plans in place if a flood did happen again.
Yeah. That's a fairly substantial structure.
It looks fantastic. It looks good too, doesn't it?
It looks like something out of the Masters in Augusta. It's that sort of classical bridge that they've got there when they go, I think they're from the 17th to the 18th.
Well, if you keep going like this, you'll have to put a pitch in, And now behind us, what would you describe it? The 18th or the 9th? Same thing?
No, this is the 18th. So this is a unique golf course in regards it's only 9 holes. It is actually 18 different tee places, and each hole is significantly different. But on 2 holes, on the 18th and the 9th, to go to different holes. But because of the placement of the tees, and they're all significantly different, it feels like you're playing a completely different course when you play the second 9. So yeah, it's a unique course. It's described by a lot of people as Nelson's best kept secret. And that's something that we're really keen here to try and get our public of Nelson out here to play more, because it's really cheap to play around a golf out here.
And it's just a magnificent setting, isn't it? With the hills in the background and the bush and the trees. It's just a beautiful course, isn't it?
Yeah.
So before I kick off, Tony, you mentioned a tee.
Wait, here we go.
What's a tee?
This whole podcast.
Explain. No, and there's other people watching this who don't play golf.
It's going to be a full hour of a golf lesson, is it?
What's about a tee?
If you're asking me for a golf lesson, you come to the wrong person. But I'll describe a tee to you. So obviously the concept is you want to get the ball from a tee, which is the place where you head off from the food to the green, and the least, and when you get to the green, into the hole. So the tee is where you start your journey, if we want to use that word, to get to the green. So there's 18 different tees here. As you saw when you come in. Tee number 1, where we were going to broadcast from, has had a visit overnight from a couple of friendly pigs, and they've left their mark. So
they certainly have.
The tee, whole thing up. The tee is where you start your game for each hole,
and hence the toothpick is called a tee.
Yeah, that's called a tee.
That's tee. See, I did know it.
Yeah, it's not a English tea. It's not a golf tea.
Not English breakfast. Right. Okay. So my first question: how did you end up here, Tony, at this beautiful golf course?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I was actually we're back in Nelson probably a couple of months, and taking a bit of time to chill out and work out what I was going to do. And I was playing a game of golf with a guy called Les Edwards, who you all know, and a couple of his mates. And we got to about the 4th or 5th hole, and they'd been teeing me, are you going to apply for this? Are you going to apply for this? And I kept on saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I just want to take some time. It's an opportunity for Stephanie, my wife, to go back to work full time, and to me to look at things. And I said, running a golf club like this would be, quite good. And I only want, somewhere 20 hours max. That would do me. So before I knew it, I'd had a chat to Peter Watson, who's done an outstanding job up here, especially over the last 5 years and the last 2 years with the storms and the floods. He was wanting to stand down, and a lot of people remember him as the ex-editor of the Nelson Mail, and sort of went from there. And before I knew it, here I am, doing a part-time role up at the golf club, trying to help them out. Probably two key parts. I'm not getting involved in the golf stuff, etc. We have a golf committee for that. I'm sort of helping out to secure our financial future. I think that's the number one. And the second part is the Nelson City Council and the golf club have a healthy relationship. It's a really good relationship with the golf club and the shop, which we do as a combined group. And then we've got a relationship with the NCC and NELMAC and keeping the greens. And all those people who know sports clubs and who know golfers, they're full of people who are ex-groundsmen or greenkeepers and have all got a very strong opinion. So one of the key parts is working with the council to keep this golf course up to standard. It's known throughout New Zealand as one of the best sort of council-run golf courses. And those people come out here. It's an incredibly good setting. So the council relationships, the NELMAC relationship, and then working what a economic viable golf club looks like in these times.
Excellent.
I mean, a lot of people would probably say, what happened to Tony Lewis? Because a lot of people would have remembered you as CEO of the Tasman Rugby Union, and then you moved on actually to Perth, didn't you, with Western Force?
Yeah, I did. Look, still get really excited about the rugby. Last week, for example, I think 13 of the starting 15 had been signed by myself and the board and the high performance team. So that's really exciting. And I think there was 16 in the starting 23. So passionate about rugby. But you got to know when your time is up, and I'm always available for help or guidance because I love the Marco to bits, and couldn't think anything better than us having the Shield. But, I completed 8 years here. I believe 8 years as a chief executive is enough. We're always got a tap on the shoulder, go to Perth. Was an exciting time, really enjoyed ourselves. But after 3 years there, sort of going different directions, I honestly think the Kiwis running their super teams is not the right move. They need Australians. I'd go as far as to say they should have Australian coaches coaching them all as well.
What's that? What do you?
I just think it's
More in tune?
The Australian rugby player is a different breed than the New Zealand rugby player, as the public very much come from a private school system. The players are fantastic and the supporters are great, but there's a real sense. I found that I've put some fantastic building blocks in at the Western Force, and now it's for other people to take it to the next step.
To pick up and run with it.
Yeah, and that's where I was. And also the other thing is my daughter was about to start high school, and when the opportunity came, it was too good to be true. And Stephanie had never really settled in Perth. And it's not an easy place when you don't have a whole lot of friends, and those people know Steph. I think every publican and every cafe owner and wine bar in Nelson were glad to see her back.
He doesn't mean that. He really doesn't.
I think she'll laugh.
I hope so. And what the point we're going to make is that you guys originally moved to Nelson to take on that CEO role, and then you spent some time here, and I guess ups to Nelson for attracting you back. And, as you mentioned that, you've got a young one going to school here. So you must have seen Nelson as being a great place. So
we were never looking for another job outside of Nelson. I got a tap on the shoulder by Andrew Forrest.
Yeah, right.
That sort of, I was looking at, I've had 8 years. What does Nelson got to offer? And that's probably the position. And now come back. What has Nelson got to offer long term for me? So, but when we took the role in Perth, we never sold our house. We were always coming back. It's a home that we've always dreamt of having. While we're away, it doubled in value, which is always a good thing. But we've got no desire to sell it. We see Nelson as our home, and we want to stay here permanently. And we see it's a great place for Olivia to go to high school, and she's enrolled at Nelson College for Girls next year and finishing her last year at St. Joseph. So we were never planning to go anywhere. I think when we arrived here, 2013, Stephanie quickly fell in love with the place. I rang her. We were living in Sydney at the time. I rang her and I said, I think Ken Beans has offered me the job, but he's still interviewing other people. And she said, where's Nelson? And I just couldn't think, how do you just tell an Australian who's from England? And I said, oh, wait a minute. You know all that Sauvignon Blanc you drink? She said, yeah. I said, there. She said, right, I'll be on the plane tomorrow.
Yeah.
I remember actually getting rung up by Alan Columbus when he was still in MediaWorks and said, I've got this guy down here called Andrew Johns, and just wondering, are you able to whip down to interview him for the sports show? And I was like 30 seconds. I was straight down. And, just before the interview, he goes, geez, what's this place? He said, my wife's, I've just rung my wife and saying, can you have a look online for houses in Nelson? He was dead keen on it.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show, we bring up a lot of issues about our fair city and our fair region. I guess everyone's like that, but we forget about just the quality that it does have.
Yeah.
And one thing for sure is Waahi Taakaro. And so can you tell us, for those who, they may be a bit more serious with the golf, or they may be like Simon on the verge of getting into it. All his mates will love that.
Thanks.
Some of the features about Waahi Taakaro and that you might expect if you come up here.
I think for all of us who have played a little bit of golf and golf around the world, green fees sort of range from $50 to hundreds of dollars in some of the golf courses we've all played. So the best thing in these hard financial times, I think Nelson sells itself short at times and this is why I engaged with Simon and uniquely Nelson become partners, is that we've got a great story to tell and we've got to stop being negative. And unfortunately, I'll apologise, I'm always glass half full. And I know staff always struggle with that because I always see it an opportunity. Here, we've got a round of golf. If you're a schoolboy, you can join for $87 as a member. If you're a young person, a female or an elder female wanting to play for the first time, it's $167. I think I remember the top of my head. But it's the cheapest place to play golf. You can play a round of golf, pretending if you're a club member somewhere else, from $18 to $25. So really, and that's 9 holes to 18 holes. And if you're thinking 2.5 hours or 4 hours, that's cheap entertainment. So from my perspective, the best thing about the golf course is the financial reward you'll get for your spend of your dollar. So that's a bonus in these times because we're always looking how we can extend our dollar. But then we get on the golf course. It's a 18-hole golf course. Sorry, it's a 9-hole golf course that you can do 18 holes. But the second 9 holes are completely different than the first, which is unusual. It's also set amongst some of the best native vegetation in the whole of South Island. This valley is something quite special. So you've got all those key things at the golf course that are just breathtakingly brilliant. As I said before, it's Nelson's best kept secret. Then you've got the members up here. Any new golfer that comes out helps them out with the etiquette, what to do, talks to them. A great group of males and females who are passionate about their golf. And probably the last thing, when you think about it, is we're one of the few golf courses where we have a large population of Polynesian, Maori, and people playing, which is unusual, and we encourage the female player to come up and play. And the access to the city. You can be downtown Nelson in 5 minutes you're at the golf course. And just as I say it, the weather up here is completely different than the rest of Nelson. It's a surprise.
It's always sunny here, Tony just told me. It's not that far away from the city too, either, is it? I mean, it's just up the road, really.
So it's 4Ks.
I think it's 5 minutes in the office.
Yeah.
So, with some of your new members or loyal members or members been here for a while, what are some of the features that they will enjoy here?
So I think the features is that the course changes from winter to summer. So in the summer you get a good run on the ball. So that's the features. Probably the major difference to the other golf courses is you've got the river. So you have to hit over the river on 2 holes, the number 1 and the 18th. That's also the vegetation, so it's very forest orientated. And then there's the hills. So if you go to the fourth hole, it's straight up a mountain. So it's a course that's very varied. It's got a lot of different elements to it. So I think a person who can play this course well will do well in other courses. You can't stand up on a tee, not the cup of tea, the tea that we talked about before. Open your shoulders and let rip, because you've got on the number one hole, you've got the river down the left-hand side, and then you've got a forest line on the right-hand side.
So would you be known as, I believe is it like a link golf course when you play over water?
No,
what's that called?
So a link golf course is a golf course that's by the ocean, by the sea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
you'll have to make a new name up for that one.
Yeah.
I'll find one.
I've just actually realised, because sometimes they say during the week Nelson's a bit quiet. I've just realised where everyone is.
Yeah,
they're all out here, not there.
There's a good crowd here.
Yeah, no, so it's a big crowd on a Thursday, and in the morning it's the vets playing, but the course is open to the general public, as you see and so they're all working together. And then this afternoon you'll get the tradies, the office people. Or what I have noticed, and it was one of the things I always struggled with when I was a chief executive, people working from home, the number of the people coming here to play golf. But it's one of the best places, because the phone coverage is difficult as well, so no one will find that you're on a course.
Can't track you down. And we just spoke to someone before, just come off night shift, and I have met a few guys that they'll do a night shift, straight off night shift, come up here, do a round, and then go home.
A couple of surprising ones with me is a number of people get off the boats. So they've been out at sea for 6 weeks, and then they'll come in and they're playing golf around, and they say, "Oh, how are you going? We've been on the sea, out in the ocean for 6 weeks," and
they just want to
come and have a game of golf.
Yeah,
awesome.
Decompress.
So I was just going to ask you about that mix, because it is open to the public. So if you do want to whack, you can come up here. So that combination of casual golf, but there's also competition golf as well on various levels.
Yeah, so there's on various levels. So the club prides itself on its ability to compete against all the clubs in the Nelson Marlborough region. So that the Tasman region. So there's obviously the various serious golfer, from the junior handicapper right through to the senior capper. We have Saturday morning golf for all members. So there's competitions taking place. There's 18 holers and there's 9 holers. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we've obviously got the vets tournaments. And then on Mondays and Wednesdays, we have Julie Sellers and a group of ladies who run a ladies play golf as well. So everything's covered. But I think that one of the best things is that you'll find that there's some of the biggest businessmen in town playing here, but they might be playing with a painter. So we'll try and, if there's one person comes and wants a round, we'll get them together, and so we match up. So we're sort of breaking down the barriers. There's a group of people here who love the club. But the people who come and play golf here for the first time, they actually fall in love with the club and they want to come back.
Tell us about the club rooms, because it's been around for a while. It looks like it's had a nice paint job. It's looking pretty good inside. So
yeah, I'll give a little note out to Trafalgar Painting, who painted that for free for us.
Oh, did he?
And that's John Towns's grandson.
Oh, right.
It's who you know, who you don't know. But look, the clubhouse is an interesting spot. It's can be used for a funeral. It can be a funeral wake. It can be used for weddings. It can be used for a number of functions, for Christmas parties, birthday
21st.
parties, 21st. And we also have a number of businesses that hire it out. So Nelson City Council, Nick Smith is bringing his leadership team down here in January. So it's open. It's at a pretty favourable rent. And then we've got a bar and we've got a catering team who also help out in that space.
Because there was some talk at some point about doing a bit of a combination as a combined sports venue. So, for instance, you've got walking, you've got mountain biking, so but potentially using this as a bit of a central hub. Is that still on the cards, or
that's something clubs exploring? I think in today's environment, the concept of the minimum wage, or it's moved, and the costs, etc., it's just cost prohibitive at the moment for us to go down that path. I mean, you got the mountain biking, the runners and the walkers in different groups. So we sort of open it up on a needs basis. So a group wants it, we bring the caterers in and we bring that in. It's open to our members Tuesdays and Thursdays, and obviously Saturday after golf. But as a general rule at the moment, it would be economical suicide to try and run a catering business out of here on a permanent basis. And that's just after, I've been here for about 6 weeks. It may change.
Challenges with the golf course from your previous past or life. Have you brought that forward for the golf course? And like with any role, what's the most enjoyable part of where you're sitting now?
Oh, the most enjoyable part is the interaction with the people that come and play.
Yeah.
So I've been very much a chief executive who wanted to make sure that I was always able to be got at, talked to, always available.
Yep.
But a lot of time you're not in the town, you're away, or you're at meetings, or you got board meetings, or you're seeing sponsors and doors are shut. In this particular role, I'm here 20 odd hours a week. So I get to see all the members when they come in and play their tournaments. So that's one of the cool things, the general public, getting the public to play with each other. We had a guy come in the other day. He rocked in. He was a plumber, had completed his job. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He was going to play by himself. There's a member here, Brendan, and I said, why don't you two play together? So that's the cool part. The challenges are like everything in life. As a ratepayer, we probably get annoyed as our rates increase, and we try to see what value we've got. So the council relationship is crucial, not only with the shop, but also the state of the course and what the course looks like. So working really closely with the Nelson City Council and developing that relationship really, really strongly. We had a management committee meeting last night, and I spoke to the committee about how important it is that we diffuse the negativity that golfers sometimes have and members have of the state of the course, and we work with NALMAC and we work with the council in presenting the course in its best state possible for the 20,000 people that play a round of golf every year. So there's 20,000 rounds of golf played every year.
Yes. So, just with my vast experience of golf and just looking at the tee here,
that's a green.
That's a green as well. It's quite a bit of green.
He said,
when
we were talking about the setup, he said, can we set up on the green? I said, you can't set up on the green.
Okay.
They'll have you.
Okay, enough of you. Enough of you. The maintenance of this, is that done by yourselves? Is someone contracted in to do it, or you have people constantly?
So the golf course is owned by the Nelson City Council.
Yep.
Under the Open Green Spaces contract, NALMAC hold that.
Okay.
And NALMAC are the group who are who've got the contract to maintain the course, to set standard specifications on green height, rough height, fairways, etc., etc. So, and we as a group are really got to get better at making sure that we communicate in a positive fashion for people to work with us. So we don't have a permanent groundsman at present, so we've normally always had one. But NALMAC have got a gang coming in. So you would have seen as you arrived, the guys who do the fairways and the roughs, the gang mowing guys are fantastic blokes. And then there's another group who specialise in the tees and the fairways, tees that way and fairways. You're confusing me, Simon.
I know what you're saying.
I've got a funny feeling you're going to think that's a mat from a gymnastics class and you're about to do forward rolls on it.
That's a beautiful looking green. Tee, green.
So here's a funny question, Tony. What do you do in your spare time? Considering you found out the job while playing golf on this course.
Look, that's a good question. So I play 1 round a week. Play on a Thursday at 1:30. So that's my sort of out is that. But at the moment, I'm sort of really enjoying reconnecting with my daughter. So Olivia is 12 and a half, and all of us who've had 12-and-a-half-year-old boys, it's black and white. Those who've had daughters, didn't realise how many different shades of pink there was. So I'm doing the school drop-off, the school pick-up, doing the school homework. I've probably cheated a little bit there. I've got a tutor in, make life a little bit easier. But
That's right.
but to be to do that, and also heavily involved in F45 fitness.
Wow.
So I'm doing that 7 days a week. Love it. So sort of enjoy doing that, and I've just received or got my first governance appointment. So I'm now on the Fire and Emergency Advisory Committee for all of Tasman.
Oh,
So excited with that. And
Oh, wow.
That starts
Congratulations.
next week. So sort of looking what that governance role looks like going forward. So
yeah.
passionate about Nelson, passionate about Tasman, and passionate about the top of the South. And I would like to think that I've got a voice who can make sure that we're the forefront of anything going forward that we can get. You know, when I look at it, 6 years since the All Black Test was here, and we really haven't done much since that. And I'm not talking about sport, I'm talking about significant events that the world comes to watch. I think the excitement for me that day of the test match was friends in London were watching the Nelson Test,
Yes,
friends in South Africa watching the Nelson Test, people from America watching the Nelson Test live on TV. So passionate about how we can get the top of the South to be absolutely the envy of the rest of the country. And I look this week as a classic example while the rest of the country's bathing in wind, snow, wet weather. I've got shorts on, and it's the weather's here. And I describe Nelson as New Zealand's best kept secret, which is something we're going to change. But I also call it New Zealand's equivalent to Noosa. And we've got to get ourselves off the comfy blanket and sell this city because it is something special.
My next question was, the golf course is not far from the Nelson CBD, which must be a benefit, but there's talk about the revitalisation of the city. I was going to say, do you have any thoughts on that? But you sort of covered that off. But is anything, because we're kind of left field, we're not on the main trunk line in New Zealand.
Yeah.
You've got to go out of your way to come here. But with your event background, do you think events is an important part of, as well as intercity living and the other things that need to be, having a vision, but events is a big part of, whether that be conferences or music or sport, is a big part of New Zealand's Nelson's future?
So I've got really strong views here. To get events, conferences, music gigs, anything into your city, the city council and the government have to open up their wallet to attract people here. So I'll give you Perth as a classic example. The WA Tourism Authority, they pay significant money for the All Blacks to play Australia next year in Perth. I was involved in those negotiations as I was involved in securing the sevens for Perth and the Lions game, because at one stage it looked like they were going to get a Barbarians game, and I worked very hard to get that over the line. So as a ratepayer, I would be very, very comfortable if the Nelson City Council or the Tasman District Council used money to attract major international events to this place, because the top of the South is something special. When you see Elton John going to Napier, it does really gall me.
Right.
And I can remember being laughed at and giggled at when I went after the All Black Test. And not only people in Wellington and New Zealand Rugby Union and different people, but people in Nelson thought it was farcical, and it probably was farcical. But if you've got a dream, you can achieve anything. So
it happen.
Yeah, and I think that is something we need to do. And it's just not to that as we've got Kmart here, but there's other big supermarket chains, Aldi, for example, that's massive in Australia, who are looking at what does NZ look like. There's Target. There's different things to commercially attract people. I was staggered when I heard that the Chemist Warehouse had to fight to come to the city because competition was worried about them. Now, those people who've been out to Chemist Warehouse, like myself, and had to queue, it's fantastic what competition can do. So I'm passionate about the CBD. It galls me, and I'm sure it galls you, is that when you walk along there, it feels like the tumbleweed's going to go down. It reminds me of the Perth CBD. Hardly anyone in Perth goes to the CBD, and they're working hard to change that. And the first time I went there, I thought the tumbleweed was going to come down. At the moment, sometimes you think the tumbleweed's going to come down the main street, and that's got to change, and it's got to change quickly. And we've got to encourage entrepreneurs. What can we do to attract that person to bring his business here? And that's what the rest of the world are doing. When Google goes and opens a new office, it's not opening a new office because it's getting anything but tax breaks. It's getting a land cheaply, and it's getting an advantage to do something, and it opens up jobs. Now, Nelson has got to start doing that, because we have some of the best places around. On the weekend, we went to Gravity Cellars the other day after we'd been to Metro Hills for lunch. Two of the best vineyards anywhere in the world in our doorstep. So, yeah, passionate how we can change that, what it looks like. And I think that's one of the reasons I reached out, Simon, with the golf course coming on board as a partner, is because I think we've got so much to offer as we work together. And one of our key things we're going to do is we're going to work with all the hoteliers, offering those people who are coming to Nelson, they'll be able to play golf here for $25 a round, and they'll include your golf clubs and your trundler if you don't bring them up. So I think it's really crucial.
That one thing you hit on, which is competition. And there's that thing when someone comes to Nelson, they go, oh, look, and it's almost like competition is healthy, because if you don't have competition in anything, you always be what you were when you got out of bed that morning. You're always the same. And competition is healthy, and not to fear it.
So to get the All Black test, that was competitive. So you had Hamilton, Christchurch, Napier, and New Plymouth, without adding Dunedin and the others all in the mix for that All Black test. Now, I found out what they earn at each of those events, as well as Auckland and stuff. So we become competitive. We offered the New Zealand Rugby Union, before they sold a ticket, 1.2 million. Okay, so we secured that support from the Nelson City Council. Tasman District Council supported us as well financially. And then we had 3 people in the background who were there as financial backers, but we're never ever going to have to need to use that group. So the competition enabled us to get that. So it shows that if we work together, and this is one of the things I'd say is, at the moment, I feel there's not that working together. And what we did in that test match is every part of the town worked together. As you'll know, how I harangued you about the main street, the publicans and everything. And everyone who come to that test match said that was the best test match they'd been to. There
was a good atmosphere. I remember those first meetings before they played. We walked into the room down at the club rooms, and I thought there'd be half a dozen people. And there was about 18, 20 people sitting in there. That's like everybody all involved with what, with what was coming.
If you don't have a vision,
working together,
and you don't have the audacity to push it, then we'll sit here and we'll moan and groan. And I think we just live in a city that's really, really special. And friends of ours have come over from Australia when we said we're coming home, and we said we're going home, and they looked at us, "No, Perth, you're home." No, we're going home. They've come here and they've got, oh, we can see. And we're very lucky. We live in Walters Bluff, and every night you've got the views over the ocean and the sun setting. This is a special part of the world where everything you want, it's at your fingertips.
Well, there's we had the summit. The city had the summit in March, and pleased to say that there is a follow-up late September. I think it might be next week, Simon, as a follow-up. So I think that's been the issues. There's been a lot of talk, and at the last summit, that's what the general message was. There's always been talk, not a lot of action. So let's put a call to action. And some people were putting some conceptual ideas out of the large variety of ideas that's available. And there is a follow-up summit late September. So that's good that they've actually made the effort to say we're following up and we're coming back with some concrete ideas that we think is viable going to the future. So it'd be really interesting to see what comes out of that. But I agree with you, a strategy around our events and a marketing plan for the region is supporting each other more to get some of those on the radar.
It's just not events, it's attracting businesses. See,
talent attraction.
So, do you think that businesses just sit there and go, oh, we'll go to Nelson?
That's right.
They've got a business case and they work out what's best. And at the moment, in Australia, which is our biggest competitor, they've got every state competing for events. So at the moment, the state spending the most money, yet the most events, is South Australia. They've got a premier there who will spend X any amount of dollars to get something there.
Mm.
And we're not talking music, drama, sport. We're talking conferences. We're talking anything that can to attract. And I think I always get skeptical when we have these meetings here, meetings here, meetings there. At the end of a year, nothing happens. I know in the All Black test, we didn't tell anyone. We didn't tell a soul what we're doing, except a small group at the city council until we'd secured it. Because if that's and I think we just got to get really competitive in that market if we want to make this city something special. Because we've got Queenstown and Wanaka down there, and they drag people away from us. And I'm from Otago. This kills it.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. There you go.
I learned a
There's
bit about
method.
golf today.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that we should do, Chris.
No. I know where this is going to go.
Get it on camera.
Eh?
Get it on camera.
No, I don't think. Well, we could go to the driving range there, and we could just put it on camera and Simon having a couple of hits.
I think so.
Let's go. Right. Let's take you down and do a couple. I'll show you. Then you just have one. We ought to have one good one here. Yeah. Hold on there. Between your legs. Take it back slowly and hit through.
That's in the way.
Okay.
He said, "How can I get it across the river with that net in the way?"
That's it. Get in the middle. That's it.
Knees together?
No, that's perfect. Yep. Keep your eye on the ball. Take it back slowly. Not too far back.
That's a practice spring. That's a practice swing.
That's a mulligan.
Hey,
One more.
he's off.
There you go. Keep your head down.
You know what I'm going to
You
do?
see, the thing is, if you're a natural, that'll be it. That's a practice. We'll give you that one.
Perfect.
Look at that.